I'm not religious. I studied political science in college, so maybe like something political would be up my alley.
Sure.
I need to think for a second.
And you may not have beliefs about strong beliefs about anything.
Yeah.
And we could talk about that too.
I think that my beliefs are like pretty nuanced, and it depends on the situation. I like to read the situation before I make up my mind about a lot of different things. It's hard for me to be set in stone about like one certain thing, and I think that my beliefs have changed a lot over my life because I grew up in a very religious household, and I'm not religious now, like by any means. So I think my beliefs have changed a lot in my life.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let's say any belief anybody can have, like there's a million, billion, infinite number of beliefs out there. And let's say all these beliefs could fall on a scale from 1 to 7. Like 7 is that you're super highly confident that that belief is true.
Yeah.
And then 1 is I'm not confident at all that the belief is true. Would you say, how many beliefs of yours would you say fall at a 7? And I mean, I'm not saying any do, but are there any that fall at a 7, or do you have any beliefs or do your beliefs fall at a different range?
I think probably maybe the only one that would fall into a 7 category for me would be, I think, treating everyone with respect. I think that everyone deserves to be treated as a human being, obviously, but also I don't know. I think that everyone just deserves a chance. I don't like being able to write people off based on what their beliefs are necessarily. I'd rather kind of like have a conversation with them and figure out why they believe certain things. That doesn't mean I can't disagree with them, because sometimes I will, but I think being able to have those conversations and at least explore why they think what they think, kind of like what you're doing. That's probably my 7 for me.
That's interesting. So of all the beliefs you could possibly have, you only have one that you would say is at a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's actually unusual. It is. I don't usually talk with people like yourself like that. I'm going to try to ask you good questions about that belief.
Okay.
I know you're at a 7. That's as high as we can go.
Yeah.
But is there a way we could even make you more intense on that belief? Like, is there a way you'd even believe that belief to be more confident that that belief is true?
I guess the only way that I could be even more confident was just like having more situations where I have the opportunity to talk to people about it, you know?
Yeah, and that more where maybe you're saying you give people the benefit of the doubt, and you can treat them with respect, and it comes back to you that treating them that way seemed to be a good thing.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know if I have like benefit of the doubt necessarily, but if, for example, like someone tells me that they're like super, like really believe, just an example, like acupuncture works, like it works so well, it's like healed them physically, I would ask them like a lot of questions about it and also like potentially do it myself to see, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I would trust them immediately. You know what I mean?
Well, that kind of goes to my next question. What would happen, or is there anything in experience or somehow you'd know, or that have you reduce your confidence in the belief that you have? You're at a 7. Does anything that make you go to a 6.5? I mean, lower your confidence in the belief that you have is true.
I don't know if there's anything that could necessarily lower it.
Oh, okay. That's it. That's interesting. So, you're telling me all your beliefs are more of a moderate range. They're like, just go from 1 to 7. You're on a 4, 3, 4, 5 maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Except for this one belief.
Yeah.
This one belief is a belief that you are not able to lower your confidence level on if you needed to.
Yeah. Because I think, like, for me, all my beliefs, they can change over time. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what I've experienced throughout my life.
Could this belief change over time?
I don't think so. Because I think this belief is more rooted in the fact that all my other beliefs are so up and down, or like medium, not like one way or the other. Yeah. Because I think this belief that is a 7 for me is based on more of like questioning other people to figure out what I think, you know, to like base my judgment on them, or like if I think that it's correct or incorrect or whatever. So it's more of like, my belief is that you should ask questions to figure out what you think, instead of just like immediately yes, no, maybe.
Your belief is, I think it's a little different than we discussed, but you're saying your belief is that you should ask questions about their beliefs?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
To come up with like your own understanding.
I think it's probably safe to say then we both have the same belief, because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I'm asking people about their beliefs, and you think it's very important to do.
Yeah,
I think it's very
sure.
important to do too.
Yeah, and you can't understand like what someone thinks unless you kind of question them about their experiences anyway, because I think a lot of the times, like, you know, with religion, for example, like you can be raised a certain way, but throughout your life, the experiences that you have, the things that you learn, it can change what you think. And so,
what if I told you?
Yeah.
So you're a 7 at this belief.
Yeah.
And the belief I think we're discussing at this point is it's important to ask people questions about their beliefs.
Yeah.
And what if I told you that I really believe it too, and I'm at a 6.9? What questions would you have for me about my belief?
Oh, it's like, what is the last 0.1? Like, what's keeping you from being a 7?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I want to be honest. I do think probably as intensely as you do that how important it is.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. It's possible I could be wrong.
Yeah, of course.
That I've recorded hundreds of these conversations, and on average, it's done more harm than good. And I shouldn't ask people about their beliefs and about how confident they are about their beliefs. And the reason why I do this is because we're all walking around with these intense beliefs, and they're clashing against other people's intense beliefs,
right.
And it's causing problems in this world.
Yeah, definitely.
And my remedy for that, I'm going about it all wrong.
Right.
I feel, but that's my 0.1.
Yeah. I think, so my question back to you would be like, do you think that it's harmful because when someone's like defending their belief, if they're a 7 on, and it could be spiritual, religious, whatever, is like the defensiveness that's causing them to be like even more like aggressive, or because you're just like asking a question, it's interpreted the wrong way?
You need to do what I do. You need to sit in this chair.
Yeah.
I think you understand that you get it. That I don't know why I'm telling you this, but we all hold beliefs for different reasons, and whether they're possibly true or not, it's just one reason.
Yeah.
And if someone's holding a belief because they would feel lost without that belief, or they feel like their life would have no purpose maybe without their belief, you can see how they cling to that belief and get defensive when someone is perceived to be challenging that belief.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't challenge. I really don't try to challenge beliefs. If it sounds like I'm trying to challenge a belief, I think I'm doing it wrong. I want people to examine their own beliefs
Yeah.
and examine the confidence they have in the confidence level they have in their own beliefs, and that is an appropriate confidence level to be at with the belief they have.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I think some people don't ask themselves those questions. And so it's kind of like they blindly just have these assumptions or beliefs or whatever, but they couldn't explain to you why, you know? Why do you think whatever? Why do you think that the sky is blue? Why? And then if you ask questions like, okay, well, the sky might be blue to a human being, but to an animal who can't see blue, what color is the sky, you know?
Yeah.
Like having questions that kind of, I don't see those as like challenging questions. I would just say exploratory questions.
Well, I have to ask.
Okay.
Because I'm just so curious. We're sitting here at a what's the thing called? Body Mind Spirit Expo.
Yeah.
And most people I talk to have fairly, as you might imagine, looking at the intents and beliefs probably associated with the objects you're seeing, and most people I talk to probably have fairly intense beliefs about their beliefs, or they're very confident, about the beliefs they have. And I didn't expect to run into you today. How'd that happen?
My friends brought me here. I don't think that I would have like chosen to come here on my own, but I am, like, for example, I'm gonna do like a reading with someone at 12:30. But the reason I'm doing it is because like I want to explore like the experience, because I don't have a strong like 1 or 7 about any of it.
Yeah. And I love your perspective, because if those candles work with some energy or something to bring inner peace to people, and that's a real thing, I'd like to know it.
Yeah.
Would you like to know it if it's real and true?
I think so. I think like it's all about each person's perspective in a way, because I mean, for me, I don't know if burning a candle is gonna like calm me down or like bring me inner peace. It might one day, but then the next day it might not. You know what I mean? I think it's like super varied.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to find out is, I'm trying to separate that from people.
Yeah.
And I want to know whether, like, does that work in some way in the world that I just don't understand, and it's not been explained by, that I haven't heard the explanation that resonates, or not a resonates, it's testable. I haven't heard an explanation that's testable to me. And if I can talk to someone and they can explain to me how you could test this, and it's been tested, maybe this is how I want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not maybe how they want to know. This is how I want to know.
Yeah.
But if I can personally know things that way, then I'm more willing to believe that belief.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, are you saying like you want to see kind of like scientific like data, hard facts, like statistics?
Well, I do like the scientific process, but to broaden that, what I like is, I like things that are testable.
Yeah.
That if it's true, there's a way to find that out. But more importantly, if I could falsify it, if there's a way to show that it's not true, I'd like to know that.
Yeah.
Equally as well.
I think everything could probably be falsified. Like, I don't think anything is ever 100%.
You think everything can or can't be falsified?
I think everything can be falsified.
Can be falsified?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think anything ever is like 100% here.
So, if someone comes to you and believes, and you came from a religious household, you said that, someone says, I believe Jesus is real, and Jesus is telling me what decisions to make. Could you falsify that belief?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. This is a horrible example, but just like, okay, maybe you should like see a psychiatrist and then you figure out you have like invasive thoughts or something, and that's Jesus telling you what to do. I don't know. There's always like I feel like there's always another explanation for pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think we're talking about similar things. I think when I think of falsification, it's a way to show somebody a belief is false if it happens to be false. In that it's it can't be explained by another.
Yeah.
I believe it, so therefore it's true.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But I really appreciate you talking with me.
Of course.
I didn't expect to see you today.
Yeah, I'm just here by chance, I think.
I get that. I get
that.
So what I'm doing is called street epistemology.
Okay.
And basically, it's the technique of asking people, how do you know what you know? Mm-hmm. And is that the belief you have, is that maybe an appropriate confidence level to be at the belief you have?
Right.
And I have a podcast and a YouTube channel.
Very cool.
Check it out.
Yeah,
and
definitely
contact
will.
me if you want to, because I'm trying to get other people to do this kind of thing, and I think you'd be good at it.
Cool. I like had a podcast for a while, but
what was it
on?
It
was a lot. It was about like Appalachian culture and folklore and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm from Morganton, which is more like in the western
I know
part.
where that is.
Yeah.
You got it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were able to get out. So let me ask.
Well, I don't live here. I've been out, but yeah.
I meant that figuratively, actually.
Yes.
I mean, like, that's what I mean is, and I'm starting having more conversations with people who've gotten out of their religions.
Yeah.
And you know, I talk, and you can see that on the podcast or the YouTube channel, and it's rare.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. But I think like it's becoming less rare now, just because people have more access to
the internet,
like other perspectives, other opinions. But also, on the flip side of that, having access to other opinions for some people like really solidifies what they think. Like, I don't know, an example.
What?
I think for some people it's the opposite too.
Yeah.
You know, because
like the backfire effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
Right.
There's some people who are like super religious or like.
Yeah. And you try to discuss it, they become more entrenched in their beliefs.
Right.
Yeah, backfire effect is interesting.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been asking this question. You know, what is it, do you think, about you that you were able to extricate yourself from the belief when I'm sure you know many people who were not?
Yeah.
Versus, maybe, I don't know if I'm asking the right question, but maybe the question should be not what is it about you, but what is it about the other people around you that were not able to extricate themselves from a true belief if it happened not to be true?
I guess the best way that I could answer that is like, as a kid growing up, like for me, when I say I come from like a religious household, like it was borderline like cult. Like it was like
what?
Borderline cult. Like very intense, like very, like I did not have any social interactions like any other kids outside of like the church that I was in. But then whenever I actually like started going to school, it was kind of, I think the change for me was when I went to middle school, because I was introduced to so many other people.
You said middle school?
Yeah. When I was like in 7th grade, like I was introduced to so many other people who had different opinions than me, and I was a very curious person, so like I like to have those conversations and ask why. One of my like really good friends, she is Muslim, and she like I asked her so many different questions, like why do you think this, like what does this mean? And I think like that just drove me to be more neutral. Didn't like drive me to like agree with her necessarily on what she believes, but it drove me to just understand like there are so many opinions and so many things that you can believe. It's like, how could you choose one thing? Like, how do you know that something is right? How do you know? I guess in a religious context.
It seems so reasonable.
Yeah.
But then why not all the friends around you? Why weren't they able to get there?
I don't, honestly, I think it was like, for the people who never got out of that space, I think it was kind of, they honestly, some of them I know like weren't even given the opportunity to because it was so enclosed, and they themselves didn't take the opportunity to have conversations with other people to ask why. Whereas like me being super curious and more sociable, I just did. Like I asked those questions and I used my own decision-making skills to come to the conclusion like, okay, I'm done thinking this, what I was like born into, to come to the place where I am today.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. You know,
it was not an easy process, I will say that. There was like a lot of like...
You had to deconstruct and go through all that?
Yeah, and there was like a lot of guilt and like anxiety because
sure.
You're so ingrained with these thoughts of like...
And also, obviously that can... You talk about this however comfortable you are, but obviously it can be easier or more difficult process depending on your family interactions and people who are...
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.